Hey, so I want to tell you about why I'm going to be starting my own business. And it's a little bit of a story, but it goes way back to my need for financial security. And I think we all have our deep, dark fears in life, whether it's fear of spiders or a fear of the dark or whatever your fears are. But my fear in life has been financial insecurity. And it goes back to when I was in college, and my dad, who was a successful architect, had to sell his business because of the economy at the time, and moved our family to Florida. And things just didn't work out for him, and he had 5 jobs in 6 years. And we knew when Dad was home at lunchtime that job didn't work out. And I'm the eldest in my family. I'm the fixer. I'm the one that makes things okay. And I just always felt like I had to try and make things okay, which is a ton of stress to put on a kid. And my parents didn't knowingly do that to me. I put that upon myself. But being in college, I didn't get to go back to I went to University of Illinois, and I wasn't able to go back my senior year. I had to go to the local college in Florida, so I wasn't able to walk through graduation. I missed my friends. I had a serious boyfriend. I couldn't be with him. It was a terrible time. And after that, I just never felt safe. And so I became fiercely independent and wanted to make sure that I could take care of myself when I left the nest and got jobs, and wanted to make sure that I could pay for everything myself. And when I got married, the day after our honeymoon, my husband lost his job. And here I thought when I would get married that he would help me to feel safe, economically especially. And after that, I never felt safe. And we were married for 18 years, and he was entrepreneurial for much of that, which was probably the worst thing I could have stepped into, because none of those pursuits worked out. And he surprised me with a text actually, for a divorce. And that was when I had decided to become a commercial real estate broker, where you need to have a few years to build your business, and you don't make much money. And so when that happened, it plunged me into the abyss of financial uncertainty, and we were already not in a good financial place. So the terror struck hard. And so after the divorce was final, I really had no money to speak of other than the proceeds from our house, which wasn't much. So I was working my real estate business, not making much money at all. And I decided that I needed to find a part-time job to supplement my income to pay my rent. I have 2 teenage kids, and I needed to make ends meet. And I was having a really hard time, and that was just this year. And then COVID struck, and I just couldn't find work. And you would think it would be easy to find just some little part-time job, but I got to tell you, I was really having a tough time. And I don't know whether it was my age, because I'm not all that young, or what it was, but I couldn't find anything. And it made me feel like a failure, because when I was younger, I seemed to get any job I applied for, and I felt very successful. And throughout my marriage, I was the breadwinner. I was a solid one with the corporate job and the health plan, and I paid most of the bills, and I was the solid one who brought home the paycheck. And here I was just trying to find some piddly part-time job, and I couldn't find something. And, it kept me up at night. I was feeling really down and low about it. And I went to my best friend and just kind of shared my fears with her. And she said, do you remember when you were a kid and you held this summer class, this little camp for really little kids, and it was a cooking class? And I thought about it, and I remembered, and I just rolled my eyes like, oh my gosh, yes. And it. It was just like scrambled eggs and cookies and, pancakes, just simple things. But it was funny because years and years later, some of those campers who were adults would come back to me and say, oh my gosh, that was the greatest camp ever. Oh my gosh, it was so great. And it was really nothing. I'm sure my mom was just trying to keep me busy because I was bored. But I was always very entrepreneurial as a kid. I picked black raspberries in our ravine and sold them to the local grocer to make money. I did all kinds of things to make money. I was always very entrepreneurial. And I come from an art background. I was an art major in college, and I've always been very creative. I come from a family of artists, and those are things that I've always wanted to do to make money. But I was a sensible one who had the real estate or very sensible job to make ends meet and could never pursue my creative urges. Anyway, she said, you should do that. You should have some type of class in your home using the COVID protocols to make money. And I thought about it like, okay, how could I do this? And we talked for a long time and we figured, okay, here's the angle. Kids are not taught home ec anymore. The budgets don't allow for that. And, they're not taught the basics of sewing and cooking. I mean, everybody loves to watch the cooking shows, but who really makes those things as much anymore? I mean, some people do, but even in our generation, a lot of my peers don't really cook. They order out, they do the meal kits or whatever's easy and convenient, but they don't really cook. And so those basic skills are being lost. And we're hearing so often about kids that are being thrown out into adulthood without the basic skills to really feel confident to be on their own. And so we thought, okay, let's put together a series of classes that teach them these basics to give them the confidence. Basic sewing skills, how to sew a button, how to sew a seam or a hem, so they can hem their pants, their jeans, so they don't have to throw it over to the dry cleaner and spend that extra money when they're just starting out and they don't have much money. How to do some basic cooking thing, fundamentals, and so they don't have to order out all the time or do the expensive meal kits. When you're in college and you're getting a bunch of pizzas that cost X, but then if you make like a nice spaghetti dinner with a little salad for less than that, and you're serving all your friends, and don't you look so cool because you just did that? And how sexy is it for a guy who just made a meal for his date? I mean, okay, come on. Something like that to build that confidence. Money management, like basic money management. Kids don't understand that. So that was a thought process. We were getting really excited, thinking about the classes, and I could make some money to help pay my bills. So then I mentioned this to a dear friend and colleague of mine who I used to work with at another developer. And he said, Lori, your classes are a great idea, but it could be so much bigger. I said, what? He said, okay, look, I just took this class and you could go digital. You could teach this in a series of videos so you could reach so many more people, so many more kids, and you could make so much more money also. And I thought about it and I thought, well, geez, that would be so much more easy. It'd be a better deliverable, right? And I could help so many more people that way. So we started talking about it, got really excited, and he has taken this digital class, and he's the techie. I mean, he's the one who understands all of the camera, and he was an AV guy in high school, but, fast forward, he understands all of that and the social media aspect of it and getting the word out. And I'm the one who has the creative content. I understand how to make all those things and the sew and the cook. And, I was the creative art major and all of that. And it's funny, like we talked about it and how we've known each other for all these years. And it's almost like we came full circle and we came back together to this one phone conversation like it was divine intervention. And I just burst into tears like, oh my gosh, like maybe this is why we were supposed to meet all those years ago, to come together so that I could finally find a way to use my creative talents to make money. Because I used to lay in bed for years and think, how can I use all of these things that I know how to do creatively to make money? Because I couldn't figure it out. And I couldn't find a part-time job. I wanted to be a florist at Jewel grocery store. I wanted to work at Amazon as a picker in the grocery store. I mean, just like these menial things just to feed my kids and to pay my rent. And I couldn't get hired. And then a little spark of an idea from my best friend, and then a random phone call from another dear friend, and all of these ideas come together. So he made me take the class too, which I'm in the midst of taking, so that I would understand how this digital platform works. And now we're getting ready to shoot our videos, which will start off as a series of sewing fundamentals here in about a week or two, so that we can get them ready right before the holidays. And we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to put it together, and hopefully y'all will check them out. We'll get them out on social media, and we'll see if you're interested. It's for everybody that wants to learn how to sew, but it's really focused on young people who want to just learn some basics so that they have them in their back pocket, so that they can do these things and not have to send them off to the dry cleaner, that they can do these things themselves. So, that's my story. That's my story of my own independence, taking care of myself and my children. A lot of bumps along the road, but I'm looking for the happy ending. Thanks for listening.